giving the State of the Union speech on Tuesday night. I could send a military plane or something, but if you would like to, it's the coolest night. It's the biggest.
We're in.
Speech.
Yeah.
We'll do it at the White House anytime. What would really be cool, and we'll do the White House the next day. We'll just have some fun. We have medals for you guys, and we have to. I must tell you, we're gonna have to bring the women's team. You do know that. I do believe I probably would be impeached. Okay.
Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. It's all fool's gold. Absolutely every bit of it. The outrage over President Trump and the Team USA men's hockey team hopefully going to the State of the Union address tonight. It's all fool's gold. It's all phony outrage. This whole battle between these hockey teams, it's fool's gold. And some of you right now are looking at this Alyssa Liu. She's on my OTS, the over the shoulder. She's on my fool's gold graphic, and you're sitting there like, what do you? She won gold in figure skating. She was patriotic. Fool's gold. All of it. Fool's gold. It's all her patriotism, all of it. She's just like all the rest. She's a closeted feminist, a closeted soldier in the LGBTQIA plus silent P BLM alphabet mafia. All of these feminists, all of these Marxists that are running around pretending that Donald Trump and the men's hockey team have done something wrong. All of them running around pretending like, well, the women, they won gold too. And why isn't Donald Trump? Why didn't he call them? Why isn't he inviting them? Why isn't he sending a special plane for them? And then he's only doing it as a joke or to cover his butt. It's fool's gold. All the people tweeting out, Sally Jenkins, let's start there with Sally Jenkins, tweeting out, let's go to the medal count. 17 women won medals at the Winter Olympics. Only 12 men. It's fool's gold. Do you know how much money the United States of America has spent financing this small percentage of American women who want to be men, who rather than scissoring would love to be men? You know how much money we've spent on that little tiny percentage of women, turning them into athletes, particularly in comparison to other countries? We have this thing called Title IX that has devalued men that want to play sports and overvalued and exaggerated the women that want to play sports. We're undermining men to lift up a small, tiny percentage of women who would rather be men so that they can recruit women that are perfectly happy being women. So they can recruit them into being like, hey, man, I should be a little manly too. This whole controversy is a joke. Of course the women won gold in women's hockey. What are there, like 3 countries in the world that take hockey seriously for women? Canada, the USA, and maybe Finland, I don't know. Women's hockey in the Olympics has been around since 1998. We won the first one. The United States did. We've won 3 gold medals in women's hockey in, what was this, 26 years? 28 years? They were supposed to win the gold medal. We've dumped the most money into this really tiny, tiny number of women that want to play hockey. You think Saudi Arabia is spending any money on women playing hockey? You think any woman in Saudi Arabia wants to play hockey? And so we're all supposed to pretend like the women winning gold is the same as the men. Men's hockey has been a part of the Olympics since 1920. We've won 3 gold medals in men's hockey over the course of 106 years. It's a big deal when the men win. We're not the most talented men's team. Canada is. Don't fall for the fool's gold. This is all a psyop, including Alyssa Liu. She's patriotic. She celebrated America. She did the national anthem. Look, I don't hate Alyssa Liu. Better she pretend to be patriotic. Better she express authentic patriotism than not. But is she a hardcore or a softcore, a closeted feminist? Yes. Isn't this woman a lesbian? And bisexual? Again, she's part of the alphabet mafia. I don't have to play this game. We don't have to play this game. We don't have to pretend that this little tiny percentage of women that want to be men and stay in sports trying to be men, we don't have to pretend like that's all of America. We don't have to pretend like their accomplishments are the same as the men. It's all fool's gold. And everybody's falling for it. Here, what Christine Brennan, let's get to her tweet. And you know, I halfway like Christine Brennan. U.S. women won more gold medals and more total medals than the U.S. men at the 3rd consecutive Winter Olympics. And it's 4 in a row at the Summer Olympics. One would think they wouldn't be an afterthought or a punchline. The U.S. women's hockey team stands especially tall today. You get what you pay for. We have paid billions upon trillions of dollars to convince a small handful of American women that they are superior and or equal to men. And I don't have to go along with the psyop, and neither do you. You don't have to go along with the cosplay and pretending like, oh, well, look at the women. They're representing America better than the men. The men are actually competing against other men around the world who have been competing in these sports for a long time, very seriously, where the women are competing against this small handful of women around the world who want to be men. And hats off to them. But we don't have to pretend like it's the same thing. And Donald Trump doesn't have to apologize, and Kash Patel doesn't have to apologize, and the men's U.S. hockey team doesn't have to apologize because Trump lives in reality and was talking to a group of men who just accomplished something incredible, knocking off Canada in overtime after one guy gets his teeth rearranged in the 3rd period, comes back, makes the great defensive play on one end, and then skates to the other end of the ice and knocks in the game winner in overtime. We don't have to pretend like, well, the women did just the same thing and we should celebrate them in the exact same way. We don't have to do that. We don't have to go for the fool's gold. We can deal in the reality, and Trump and that hockey team were dealing in the reality. Like, Trump was like, man, you know, if I don't invite these women, I'm going to be in trouble. That's a joke based in reality. No different than Trump was joking with them when he kept acting like, hey, we had some goalie, and pretending like he didn't know Hallebuck's name. The guy likes to crack jokes. Guys like to laugh. And that, what you saw in that locker room celebration is how men talk. We know those men were sitting around like, yeah, it's great what the women did, and if we don't sit here and pretend like it's the same thing we did, we're in trouble because there's a group, a tiny, loudmouth group of women in America who look for a place to complain at every turn and try to define men as evil. And this is the oppression we've been dealing with for 150 years. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the oppression we've been dealing with for 3,000 years. We've always wanted to be men. Didn't you read the story in the Bible in the garden? Eve wanted to be Adam. She wanted to be a man. She wanted to be a shot caller. And she messed everything up. And I get it. Adam, he blew it too. Because he was a coward, just like many of you men today that will not tell these women the truth. Make me a sandwich. Win the gold medal in sandwich making. We're catering to this little tiny percentage of delusional women. And you know why I keep calling it a tiny percentage? Because that tiny percentage has such an outsized influence that half of these women in their delusional state buy what these super delusional wannabe women are selling. I'm not going to do it. We don't have to do it. We don't have to pretend like Trump has created some great crime by saying, yeah, I better invite these women to the State of the Union because, they'll be loudmouths and they'll complain and they'll be bitter and they'll play the victim card if I don't. That's what Trump really wanted to say. Let me get to, is there one more? Yeah, I want to... This Ian Kennedy, he's just representative of the stupidity that we have to deal with. As NHL players return to their teams, and as Team USA heads to meet the president, remember, they've all had plenty of time to speak out, to apologize for laughing, to condemn that type of misogyny, and to tout the achievement of USA's women's team. They haven't. Oh, the horror. Donald Trump and a group of male hockey players shared a laugh about the power of feminist whining. You have to move into the reality that, look, man, we have a patriarchy versus matriarchy, a gender war going on. And it's nonstop. And they can turn anything into a crime against humanity. And they will say, oh, Whitlock hates women. No, I don't. I don't like women who want to be men. Period. I don't like what feminism has done to American culture. But I don't like evil. And feminism is evil. It creates chaos. When everybody comes out of their roles and we all have to start playing some fantasy game like the just think about we watch the WNBA, we watch college basketball, and we sit there and laugh at the disparity. Like, these women can't make layups. These women fall down for no reason. They pull each other's hair. Again, they play an inferior brand of basketball. Basketball is a universal sport. Like, men and women play it. Hockey's not. There's a bunch of us, white, black, brown, yellow. There's a bunch of us that have never been on ice skates, let alone played hockey. So my point is, do you know how bad women's hockey is in comparison to the men? Do you know how uncoordinated and unskilled it is? You know what a small handful, a tiny, tiny, tiny handful of women that ever have played ice hockey, have any interest in playing ice hockey? And now we're all supposed to pretend President Trump didn't invite them to the White House. And then I give the women credit. They put out a statement that pretended like they were being classy about this. We are sincerely grateful for the invitation extended to our gold medal winning U.S. women's hockey team and deeply appreciate the recognition of their extraordinary achievement. Due to the timing and previously scheduled academic and professional commitments following the games, the athletes are unable to participate. They were honored to be included and are grateful for the acknowledgement. It's a group of women. They weren't going to the White House. It's a group of feminist women. They weren't going to the White House. Not with Donald Trump sitting in office. They couldn't. The social media pressure. Do you understand what Christine Brennan, Sally Jenkins, Jamel Hill, and these women would be writing if they did go to the White House? And then if they did go to the White House, they'd have to wear some sort of protest shirt. Pay us what you owe us. You mean, nasty, sexist men. Don't you know that if, what was George Washington, Martha? Was that his wife's name? Martha. Don't you know that if George Washington and Thomas Jefferson had financed a hockey team in the 1700s, we would have been Wayne Gretzky. Don't fall for the fool's gold. Don't do it. All right, we got a great show. TJ Moe and Butter. Butter's going to be back. I can't believe Butter's coming back to the show, but, you know, the response yesterday in the chat was overwhelming. I didn't want to bring Butter back, but the chat just gives it, you got to bring Butter back. They love Butter, so we're going to bring Butter and TJ Moe back, talk a little bit more about this hockey stuff. But we got Bucky Brooks will be here for today's show. We got some NFL. He's at the Combine. We'll be talking about that. Darryn Peterson last night in Kansas knocked off Houston at home in a big game. We will discuss that. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, it's now official. Netflix is paying them for a rematch. We'll discuss that. Got a great harmony scheduled for you all today. Today is going to be amazing. First thing I need you guys to do is on Apple and Spotify, hit that 5-star rating. Help us fight the algorithm. It's important. The other thing I need to tell you guys about is about the bed that's sitting right outside my studio upstairs here in our lounge area. And it is a ghost bed, and it's one of my favorite. It is my favorite bed in the house. I used to think mattresses were just furniture until I got my ghost bed. I now have one, sleep on it occasionally because I sleep everywhere in my house. And every time I sleep onto my ghost bed, it gives me an incredible night's sleep because ghost bed doesn't build mattresses like furniture. They build engineered sleep systems. Their beds are serious health equipment. Beds designed for relief and recovery, not looks, not fluff. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. I noticed the difference right away. If you wake up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different, that's not aging. That could be your mattress talking to you. And here's another thing I love about Ghost Bed. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't feel the difference, you can send it back risk-free. Ghost Bed is offering my audience their lowest prices of the season, plus an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/fearless. Use the promo code fearless. That's ghostbed.com, promo code fearless. When we come back, TJ Moe, and by popular demand, I don't know what's going on with the chat, I don't know if Butter's family all showed up in the chat or what, but by popular demand, Butter's going to be back. We'll do that next. I would say, why wouldn't that be his attitude? There's only one path. I don't know if he's got kids yet. I think he's married. He probably want to have kids. If I want my name not to be associated or less associated with negative stuff when my kids would carry my name and Deshaun Watson's your daddy, the only path back to clean up that name is greatness on the field. We saw it with Kobe Bryant after the events in Denver, Colorado. He put his head down, won championships, great player, and now it's like the whole thing in Denver is an afterthought. Deshaun Watson, if he somehow, with that defense that Cleveland has, if he somehow was able to take Cleveland to a Super Bowl, that would totally rebrand.
It's like sports should be the one thing. You're a sports commentator. You should just own this stuff. Like this, we should have fun with it.
Yeah, look, I don't know why the liberals gave us the monopoly on loving America. I haven't figured that out yet. I don't know if anybody does. But it doesn't take much, right? We see Alyssa Liu. She's a bisexual woke leftist. All it took for all of America to embrace her was for her to love America. That's it. We actually don't care that much about these athletes' opinions. It turns out it's only when they try to shove it down our throats that we become disinterested and begin to hate them. That is my big problem. It doesn't take a whole lot. We saw that with Team USA Hockey. Immediately, you just showed it in your wonderful monologue. As soon as President Trump got on the phone, the entire team embraced him. Okay, that, by the way, is, I think, normal. I spent a lot of time in locker rooms, play college football at the University of Missouri. That is the normal baseline reality. It is the media who have largely taken, and they do this primarily to black players, they try to pressure them into hating Trump. They say, Trump's a racist. How could you possibly support him? He hates your community, right? And then all the white guys are like, well, I can't leave my black teammates hanging out to dry, so I also have to
kneel or whatever.
There's none of that. Yes. Yeah. So instead, you didn't have that. There are no black players on the team.
Yeah.
This was an all-white team, and they didn't have any of those pressures from the media. Nobody's asking them why does Trump hate your community? So they got to embrace him and said, we'll be there tomorrow at the State of the Union. Can't wait to do it.
That was TJ Moe on Newsmax yesterday. TJ, Butter, welcome back to the program. TJ, I do want to warn you, the audience wants to hear mostly from Butter. So, be cognizant of that when you respond here. But what do you make of this controversy that, because I don't think the women really wanted an invite. And really all of this is just a complaint about the men celebrating with Donald Trump and with Kash Patel. And so now they get to play the women as victims. We didn't get an invite, or it wasn't a sincere invite. What do you make of it?
I promise not to go Delano or Skap on you, so I will keep this as concise as possible.
Add Peyton to that list, but go ahead.
Yes, or Peyton. I saw Peyton yesterday. Spoke way too long, Peyton. You got to work on that. I don't make that much of it, actually. As far as what the women are saying or doing, they didn't ask to be invited. To the degree that they were going to decline, this is as polite as you could possibly do it. Like, who expected a bunch of probably lesbian single women, regardless of color, to embrace President Trump after what we've seen in the last 10 years? I had zero expectations. Actually, this is the nicest way I think they could have possibly done it. Not a single one of them have popped off that I've seen. Nobody's gone outside the team to tweet about nothing. They won gold. They shut up. They didn't ask for the invitation. They weren't playing the victim card of the boys just to the degree that anybody's talked about that. Trump made a joke about it. I actually don't have a real problem with how the women have handled it. I would prefer, to the degree that I have a problem, I'd say show up, drop everything you're doing to go to the State of the Union. Yeah, I kind of do have a problem with that. I really don't care what else you have going on in your life, short of a family member's funeral. Outside of that, you should probably go. But short of that, like if you're going to decline and be super woke and whatever, I don't know that there's a way that you could have done it that's much nicer than this. It's hard to have a real problem with it.
Butter, your take on my take that what's undergirding all of this is just the the gender war we've had going on here in America. It's like we can't enjoy anything if we celebrate the men too much. Somehow it's a shot or it undermines women. And don't you guys realize we won the most medals and therefore we should be the superstars of the Olympics? There doesn't seem to be any reality. Like, man, we're paying more for women to be athletes and stars on it than other countries. Anyway, just your reaction to any of this that we've talked about so far.
There's always, they got to spend 100% of the outrage somewhere. So whether Trump said something about the women's team, they would have found something else that he said or did. They'd have put more of it on Kash Patel or that the team was too white. They got to spend 100% of the outrage somewhere. So that kind of is par for the course. I do think that in that moment, Donald Trump had a bit, I believe, of a little bit of an unforced error. I think that it wasn't a narrative that needed to be added to that moment as much as I found it to be a joke and locker room talk and guys being guys. You know, I was lying in my ghost bed last night with my beautiful wife having this conversation. Not my favorite activity to do while laying on a ghost bed, but she was coming from a women's perspective and I listened and we talked about it. And I just think it was something added to this narrative and to the moment that was a little bit of an unforced error, unneeded. That said, they were going to find whatever they had to do to spend 100% of it regardless.
That's interesting. So your wife had a tiny bit of a problem with what Trump said.
Yeah. I'm not saying we argued laying in bed there, but I tried to establish a little bit of.
Oh, I know you're not arguing with your wife, buddy. You're smarter than that. Go ahead.
I'm not that good looking, but I'm not that funny either. You know, we just were on opposite sides of it. I found it as a funny joke, guys being guys like Big Brother. We got to bring the girls and that we should be allowed to joke like that. And her point was she felt like it put the men's team in a little bit of an uncomfortable position to have to talk about it or defend it. That was a little unnecessary. And from a female standpoint, she's like, I don't know why we couldn't just celebrate the men's team without sort of taking a dig at the female team, you know? And I get some of that, but I think this is one of those situations where there was 15 billion other things Donald Trump could have said in that moment or not even said that just wouldn't have brought this on. But I will say it was going to happen no matter what, right?
TJ, my reaction to Butter, and Butter's making a fascinating point. And so's his wife. But my reaction is like if Kamala Harris were president and she called to congratulate the women's team and cracked a joke on the men's team in any capacity, good-natured, whatever, no one would care because every TV show, everything, every comedian, cracking jokes on men, and particularly on a group of white men. It's been so normalized. It's so expected. It draws applause lines. Trump's doing what guys do in locker room environments and what guys just do in real life. It's a joke. But we know if the reverse happened, there would be no controversy. TJ?
Well, that's obviously true, but it would have actually probably been funnier if that happened because of the irony that everybody knew that the men's team was actually the more important one. So you'd be acting like they weren't the more important one, and it would be ironic to crack that joke. That'd be the point of the joke if you were talking to the women. Well, I guess we got to invite the men too, knowing that everybody just the men are the obvious ones to have.
I wasn't specifically talking about cracking the exact same joke. I'm just saying cracking any joke at men's expense. If Kamala Harris would have made a different joke about men, no one would care because every punchline that's approved in mainstream media has men as the butt of that joke.
Totally agree. And your point about locker room talk, this is the epitome of locker room talk. It was all dudes on the phone with a guy that probably likes locker room talk more than anybody that's ever been in locker rooms, in President Trump. That is the guy. So I agree with that. And if you can't look, we've gotten to see enough, but I mean, Trump actually has half a filter elsewhere. He might not have said this. This is a private conversation. I don't know that he cracks every single joke that he thinks all the time.
I
He was
think he
talking.
does.
Yeah, maybe he does. He was talking though to a group of 25-year-old dudes that had just were on cloud nine, and talking to as an FBI director that is a hockey nut. That's who he thought his audience was. He didn't have any thought that this would be posted somewhere. This was a private video by one of the only place that I've seen it. I don't think there were any other cameras in there. People took this off of Instagram. I think this was a private place. Other people said President Trump just called us, and this is one from one of the players or coaches. So there's a lot. I have so much leeway for private conversations that aren't. Fox News wasn't sitting inside there. He wasn't. Hey guys, here I am chiming in. It wasn't Don Jr. that called him in the middle of a press conference. He's talking to his FBI director. You could see on Kash Patel's phone it said DT. So very different kind of setup in my view.
Butter, your response to that?
Donald Trump knows he's always on camera. He knows he's always being recorded and filmed. There's a part of me that thinks he was taking I think he was taking a little bit of a fun locker room dig. Probably had heard some chimed in comments here or there. I've stated it didn't bother me when I heard it the first time. I wasn't taken aback by it. But I don't think Trump does anything that's just not somewhat calculated or somewhat known. And he knows he's on camera. He knows that he's being recorded no matter what he does. I think there's a little part of him that was just turning it a little bit on the ladies, probably due to some comments that he's heard or seen along the way. I agree with TJ. I feel like their response to it and the handling of it has been exceptionally pro level, but I don't think that and that was my argument to my wife, I don't think that the women's team was going regardless. So there's something to it all. I think he was turning the screw just a little bit.
TJ, your take on my position that Christine Brennan, Sally Jenkins, these guys are all using this to do what they always do, make the larger argument that, hey man, if men would just get out of our way, we could run this thing and things would be so much better. And women are actually the girl bosses, and men just need to stand down.
Yeah, I mean, and that seems obvious to me. I don't know how anybody could argue with that. Truly, if you've been paying attention for the last 10, probably 20 years, because there's a bunch of men that are on board with this too. It's not like this is all just women pushing this. All the liberal men say the same thing. Will Ferrell, to the degree that he's ever serious about anything, gets up there and talks about how we should just let women run everything. So that is super obvious. But I will tell you, Butter, where I totally disagree with you is that an unforced error, I think is what you called it. I think we should quintuple down on that. Talk how we always talk and tell the truth no matter what. That is the answer to all of this. Just backing down and pretending and playing nice and say, well, we don't want the women to feel bad. I don't care how women feel about my jokes. I do not care. It is so far down on my priority list, particularly when I'm talking to a group of men who just won the gold medal. I don't care how women are listening into my conversation. Not interested. I actually think it's good for everybody if what we've done for the last, I don't know, I'm 35, I think my whole lifetime, we've retreated. We've given ground on everything. Donald Trump is the first president to ever take ground in my lifetime, and I think we should take a lot more.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back, and I thought one of the most attractive things to him for a lot of people in this country is that he is unfiltered. Still, in my opinion, when you have a moment like that, I think it was such a cool moment taking place. I just think there was so many other avenues and things that could have been supporting that moment versus the dig. Unfiltered, fine, didn't bother me. I get where people are coming from, but they were going to be outraged no matter what. I think he gave him an extra can of gasoline that he didn't have to.
TJ, I'm actually glad Butter's taking this position because I think it'll quiet the chat down. That Butter's actually not on our side. Did
I lose my cred today, guys? Sorry.
Yeah, that he's actually like Ian Kennedy here. Did y'all hear that tweet where he's acting for the hockey players should apologize for laughing, and they should condemn this type of misogyny. But this is what I mean. I want to celebrate this type of misogyny, and I really do. Again, what do you think of? But seriously, what do you think of Ian Kennedy? Is he going a bit too far here? We got to apologize for laughing.
You asking me that?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Yeah. That's the ridiculous part of all of it. There was going to be outrage no matter what we did, right? We see it. It would have been Cash Patel. It would have been the Toby Keith song. It would have been something else that he did. All I'm saying is that in that moment, there was such an opportunity. Not that he had to shy away from something, but what this dude's saying, no, they don't need to apologize for anything. But it is bringing them into the conversation because of what he said. And for that reason, I think it was a path that he could have just said anything else, a million other things that would have been just as successful and promoting the moment versus giving them a little can of gasoline. And it puts these boys in the men's team having to defend it.
Oh, they don't care about that. Come on. It's their favorite thing in the world to step in.
I just wanted Butter to have one more chance to hang himself, and he took it. Butter, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much. Seriously, it was a great job. I'm being very serious. Now you're going to wave the flag and pander. Anyway, TJ, I do have a follow-up for you. I want to replay TJ's clip here just to reset here because TJ and I had a conversation off air before he went on the Newsmax. Let's play this clip, and there's a specific thing I want to talk to you about.
It's like sports should be the one thing. You're a sports commentator. You should just own this stuff. Like this, we should have fun with it.
Yeah, look, I don't know why the liberals gave us the monopoly on loving America. I haven't figured that out yet. I don't know if anybody does. But it doesn't take much, right? We see Alyssa Liu. She's a bisexual woke leftist. All it took for all of America to embrace her was for her to love America. That's it. We actually don't care that much about these athletes' opinions. It turns out it's only when they try to shove it down our throats that we become disinterested and begin to hate them. That is my big problem. It doesn't take a whole lot. We saw that with Team USA Hockey. Immediately, you just showed it in your wonderful monologue. As soon as President Trump got on the phone, the entire team embraced him. Okay, that, by the way, is, I think, normal. I spent a lot of time in locker rooms, play college football at the University of Missouri. That is the normal baseline reality. It is the media who have largely taken, and they do this primarily to black players, they try to pressure them into hating Trump. They say, Trump's a racist. How could you possibly support him? He hates your community, right? And then all the white guys are like, well, I can't leave my black teammates hanging out to dry, so I also have to
kneel or whatever.
There's none of that. Yes. Yeah. So instead, you didn't have that. There are no black players on the team.
Yeah.
This was an all-white team, and they didn't have any of those pressures from the media. Nobody's asking them why does Trump hate your community? So they got to embrace him and said, we'll be there tomorrow at the State of the Union. Can't wait to do it.
TJ, I think it's a fascinating point you make about, like, this was more authentic because, one, people weren't thinking of themselves being on camera, but also, two, when there isn't that media pressure, when there isn't that racial pressure of oh, I got a black teammate here, Donald Trump's on the phone, I could be offensive if I act like I like Donald Trump, and so let me not do what I would naturally do. The president of the United States, whether it's Donald Trump or Barack Obama, calls to congratulate you on doing something spectacular in that moment. Whether you like Barack Obama or Donald Trump, it's the president of the United States, and we just won a gold medal, and guys got to act naturally. I think it's a fascinating point about how the media forces black players to act like Donald Trump is the worst human being on the planet, and then that forces white players to kind of go along with it, and everything's inauthentic, while this was very authentic.
Yes, that's exactly what I believe. I think this was the standard reaction that you would get without media pressure. And particularly, look, and again, it's even in Major League Baseball, there's a lot of Latinos who get drilled by the media over and over. Trump hates you. Look what ICE is doing. They're murdering people all over. And there's incredible pressure. Instead of just thinking whether I agree with these policies or not, the president of the United States, the single, perhaps, most powerful person in the world, just called to congratulate me. That's an honor. That's what most people would think. That's a normal baseline reaction for anybody. I really didn't like Joe Biden. I mean, really, really didn't like Joe Biden. If he would have called me to congratulate me on anything, I would tell everyone. Just because it's the president of the United States calling to tell me I did a good job about something. It's cool. It's what everybody thought for all of human history. The president of the most powerful country in the history of the world that, by the way, may go to war with Iran any day and has a State of the Union coming up. Instead of worrying about running the world, he took a few minutes to watch me play a sport and then call me. And you want to reject that? So I don't actually believe all of this nonsense, all of the grandstanding, all of the BS that players have pushed for the last decade. I don't believe they believe any of it. I think it's all orchestrated nonsense. At their core, all of these guys would love to be honored by these people that are running the world.
Butter actually chimed in via text, TJ, and I was perhaps mistaken. He was trying to recover because he made a great point here about this. He's like he said, hey, Drew Brees is the prime example. Remember, he comes out and like, hey, man, you know, this whole kneeling for the national anthem, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, Maria Taylor and the black people all are forcing him to recant and apologize. It's guys can't be natural. They got to go along with this cosplay. This is why I hate social media and talk about it's a stage. And what do people do on a stage? They act. They perform. It's not natural. We've all been placed on a stage, and most of us are given some fake accounting of ourselves.
Well, Jason, you know this as much as anybody. What percentage of athletes, forget black or white, athletes are political at all? Like 1%, maybe. I was the most. That's exactly right. I was the most political guy on my team by a mile. Wasn't even close. And to the degree that I was political, that just meant I was voting. Okay. I halfway knew what was going on. I cast a vote and then I went back to trying to succeed. That is it. I didn't know anybody in the NFL on two different teams or in college football that talked politics. Now, maybe all that's changed because this was a pre-Trump. But look, there was a lot of political discussion going on during the Obama years. And I was in college from 2009 to 2012 during his first term. And so these guys just don't know anything. And then they've been pressured by the media to say, you have a moral obligation to have your voice heard because these children are counting on you. And what they should say back is, I am an illiterate moron. I actually don't have anything to add to the conversation. You should watch me play football and hope that someday you are a good enough athlete to do that, to make lots of money, so that you have the luxury of checking out of this because I'm not smart enough for these conversations. And please stop making me to participate. That's what they should say.
It's all a Muhammad Ali imitation and a misunderstanding of who Muhammad Ali was. Muhammad Ali involved himself in politics for the most part, one, because he joined a political religion, the Nation of Islam, but two, he got drafted and he didn't want to go to Vietnam. And so that forced him for 3 years. His life and freedom were on the line as he was banned from boxing and so it forced him into politics. These guys that sit around during the off season and during their off time on some tattoo table or at some strip club or hosting parties or traveling over to China to collect money, they just don't have the time to pay attention to politics. And all they really pay attention to is their social media feed and trying to build that up. And a part of that build-up process is pretending like you hate Trump.
I think it's worse than that, Jason. I think they have been recruited by the wokest journalists to give them the talking points. And I think these top guys have just been the people who actually do pay attention to politics have a list of their talking points and they'll just hand them. I don't think Malcolm Jenkins is studying politics at a really high level. I think he's getting talking points. Of course he is. And I think most of these guys are. Yeah, and a check.
Yeah.
Yes. And, you know, to the degree that, and by the way, this all goes one direction, because how many right-wing talking points have you ever heard come out of an NFL guy's mouth, right? To the degree that there have been any, it comes from Nick Bosa, who wears a MAGA hat and runs off. Okay, that's the only talking points you get from anybody on the right in the NFL or any of these sports leagues. You don't, nothing. In fact, if you just say "I love America," they think that's a right-wing talking point. So it comes from one direction, and they are all in bed, especially in the NBA, with all of the media, who's the most hardcore leftist organization in the entire world. It is the media, and so they're just being fed these things. So it's worse than not having time. It's propaganda.
TJ, I got to let you go. I got to get to As the NFL Turns with Bucky Brooks. Thank you, TJ. We'll see you next time. Give me and Bucky like 60 seconds, and we'll be right back with As the NFL Turns next. And I like Kevin Durant. I really do. He's one of the few NBA players. I know he's got some quirks about him. I know he teamed, hopped, and all this other stuff. But I like Kevin Durant. But this type of casual behavior that I don't want to exaggerate, make too much of it, but the reality is we know that if a white NBA player was caught on camera talking this kind of salty to a white fan, or I'm sorry, to a black fan, this guy would be run out of the league. Long suspension, but here's Kevin Durant. I know where you live, white boy. That's a threat. That's a meaningless threat. Do I think Kevin Durant's going to hunt down this guy? No, I really don't think he's going to hunt down this guy. But we know for a fact that if a white player screamed out in an arena, "I know where you live, black boy," holy cow, how many different shows would there be? How long would the suspension be? How long would the conversation go on and on and on and on and on forever about how racist this guy is?
As the NFL Turns, starring quarterbacks Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, with special appearances from Commissioner Roger Goodell and coaches Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, and the Harbaughs. Brought to you by the global elites.
All right, welcome back. Time to talk a little football with Bucky Brooks, former NFL player, former NFL scout, now a member of the NFL media for about 15 years, maybe longer. Anyway, Bucky, let's get right to it. You're going to be at the Combine this week. Fernando Mendoza, he's not going to throw at the Combine. Big deal, little deal, or no deal?
It's not a big deal at all. Like it is what it is. He's the number one rated quarterback. Everyone has him pegged to go to the Las Vegas Raiders. So whatever he would do at the Combine has little impact on what his draft standing is going to be. Naturally, every scout would love to see him throw because we would all love to see guys compete in the big arena. But look, he doesn't have to do it. And so there's no obligation for him to do it. So it's in his best interest not to do it.
When I think about Fernando and a handful of other quarterbacks and players, hey, I'm going to do this drill, I'm going to do that drill, is the Combine more of a television show now than an actual scouting process?
Yeah, I would say it has become more of a theatrical event, more so than what it was originally intended to be, which was come to Indianapolis, get all the medical testing done, do all the interviews with the 32 teams, and then go through a workout. And that workout had athletic drills and also position-specific things that would enable scouts to have a better feel for who you are outside of the uniform and those things. But since it has become a television event, everyone knows what is going to be done, and it is a little more performative than in terms of like being testing and having accurate numbers or whatever, because people train for it and those things. So it's not as pure as it once was, but that doesn't mean there's not value to the event. It doesn't mean there's not value to being able to see these guys work out side by side with some of the other elites, but it has become more of a performance than an evaluation basis.
All right, for someone in the media, is it more of a media gossip festival than an evaluation of the players or learning anything about the draft? Or I guess you can gossip about what teams are thinking, but for a media person, has the meaning of the Combine changed for you all as well?
I would say it's changed because people aren't sending as many. Teams aren't all coming like they used to. The LA Rams were at the forefront of the movement where they didn't have all of their scouts come, their scouts and coaches attend the event. Because it's on TV, you can watch it on TV. You can Zoom with the prospects. You can do some of the other things that you would do there, you can do virtually. And so, in the event of being able to save money, to save time, to allow coaches and evaluators to work on different things outside of just being in Indianapolis, kind of doing all of the other stuff until the event starts, from an efficiency standpoint, people have elected to stay at home. And that has also changed some of the things that you can do from a media standpoint because you don't have access to all the coaches and scouts and general managers that you used to. You don't have the scrums and the after hours conversations that would take place at watering holes. All of that has changed. So I would say it's been diluted in a sense because this was the only NFL convention that everyone was at back in the day. Now it's no longer like that. So it's certainly not what it once was.
I am from Indianapolis. We have been very pleased with ourselves. I try to avoid the word proud. We've been very pleased with ourselves for hosting the combine. I think we're on a path where they're going to start, like the draft, moving it around from city to city and maybe even prioritizing warm weather destinations.
I mean, I think there's some of that, and some of that is TV driven, right? Like some of it is, from a aesthetic standpoint, man, wouldn't it be nice if we could do this outside? Wouldn't it be nice if we could have the backdrop of LA or some of these other things that would enhance the look of the event? But at its core, the event is about medical information, interviews, and athletic testing. And you would like to do those things at a centrally located spot for the convenience of being able to get it all done in a timely manner. Indianapolis is the perfect host city because of, you think about the hospitals, and they're used to doing conventions on a weekly basis. It's always something coming to town. It's in the middle of the country, so it's easy to get everybody to convene there. So it has always made sense to keep it in Indianapolis, but there's always the dollar impact. And if they can find a way to make money off the event, I wouldn't be surprised to see it go on a traveling tour.
We mentioned Fernando Mendoza at the top of the draft. I'm not sure if he's got number one talent overall. I get why he plays the position where you want to draft up that high. Is there a free agent option that is potentially better value and a smarter play, a win now play? Is there a free agent option better than Mendoza?
No, there's not a free agent option. I think what you have going, you're going to have three different vehicles to get your franchise quarterback. You have the draft. Fernando Mendoza is the number one pick, and it's a class that is weak when it comes to franchise players. You have free agency. Malik Willis, who is a guy that some would say is a bit of a one-game wonder based on how he played for the Green Bay Packers and how he performed for the Tennessee Titans before that. He's in play. He's the top free agent available. And then you have the trade market. Right now, we would have to say trade market, but it may be the release market or whatever. And that is going to be Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa. They are going to be at the top of that. And so what you have to do if you're a team in need of a quarterback, you have to look at those three options and say, one, where can we get the best player? Two, who is the most available player that we can get that makes sense for us? And three, who is going to do a deal to allow us to get the player that we want to be our franchise quarterback? All those things are in play.
What's the strongest position in this year's draft?
This is a really good class, I would say, in the offensive line, like offensive tackles, right tackles and left tackles are both. It's different because it's really more the year of the right tackle. Francisco Mauigoa, Spencer Fano, those guys are going to go within the top 10 at right tackle, but they're interesting left tackle prospects. Caleb Lemieux, Monroe Freeling, there are a lot of guys that can play that you're like, okay, they'll be interesting. When you talk to people, they'll talk about the edge rushers. Maybe not the Myles Garrett type, but there are a lot of edge rushers in this class that can get it done. And then there's some super athletes that would be a part of that. Averill Reese from Ohio State is a guy that's an off-the-ball linebacker but has pass rush ability. You have other guys who can do a bunch of different things at the top. So to me, it's not a sexy draft for TV, but it's a draft that can be very productive for team builders who know exactly what they want at those marquee positions.
Going into the combine, do you have like a favorite player, a guy that you think like, man, I think people are undervaluing this guy. I really love him. Or who is the surest? Because I don't think I get Mendoza going number one, but he's not the surest thing in this draft. Who's your favorite player in this draft?
I mean, I think there are a few favorite players. I would say Caleb Downs is a favorite for me. He is the safety from Ohio State. He played at Alabama early in his career and made the move. Bloodlines, plentiful. Dad, Gary Downs, played in the National Football League for 7 years as a running back. Older brother Josh Downs is a wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. So this is the family business. He understands it. He understands it at a high level. The safety position has become a marquee position because guys are doing hybrid things. He's a high IQ, very communicative, instinctive player. He's interesting. Averill Reese is interesting because he is a freak athlete who is just beginning to come into his own. He's an off-ball linebacker who is a run and chase guy, but he also has the ability to line up on the edge. And as people are chasing, I would call the ghost of Michael Parsons, the guy who can be the unicorn that can do anything, whether stand up, put his hand in the dirt, come after the quarterback, create chaos.
Disappear in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, some of that is true.
That strength as well.
Some of that is definitely true. But there's some really good players in this draft. And Jeremiah Love is one that is also going to entice people at a time where we talk about running backs being devalued. Some would say that he might be the best player in the draft. You look at what he did back-to-back years at Notre Dame, the way he's been able to put that offense on his back. He's spectacular with the ball in his hands. All of those things matter. But he plays a position that is commonly known as a throwaway position. We can get anybody to play that. So how do you value him in a league that has become more of a pass-happy league? Do you still have the ability to trust and value a running back?
Good segue into Jeremiah Love. Is he a better prospect than Ashton Jeanty?
I would say yes. And the reason I would say yes, some of it is some bias in it. He played at Notre Dame. He played at a bigger school. He played against maybe better competition consistently. So I think you have a better feel that his game is going to translate. And that's no knock to playing at Boise State. But I think there are a lot of scouts that would feel that way. And when you look at him, stop, start, quickness, burst, his ability to deliver big plays, but also do the dirty work and catch the ball out the backfield. In today's game, you need a running back that can do it all. He is one of those rare finds as a guy that can certainly do it all.
I want to focus. This is fascinating to me because I like Jeremiah Love, and there was something about Ashton Jeanty, his body type, just struck me. He seems a little squatty, and I don't know. His body type just kind of made me a little bit suspicious. Where Jeremiah Love's not Eric Dickerson. He's not that long. But I don't know. He's built different and strikes me as like the home runs I saw him hit at Notre Dame. I could see those translating to the NFL. When I watched Ashton Jeanty, I thought the home runs he hit at Boise State. I was like, I think he's going to get caught in the NFL. I don't know what it is, but I agree with you. Jeremiah Love, a better prospect. But I do want your evaluation of Ashton Jeanty. Was what he did last year, was that just like, hey, there's no talent here with the Raiders, the offensive line is bad, or are there legitimate concerns about Ashton?
No, I think he's legit. And I would say this. I loved him coming out of Boise. I thought his contact balance was terrific. His vision, his ability to slide in and out of holes, loved all of that. With the Raiders early, Chip Kelly didn't give him enough opportunities. He didn't touch the ball enough. Then you factor in they didn't have a really good offensive line, so it just didn't feel like a great marriage from the start. I would expect him to perform differently with Clint Kubiak coming over. That is the perfect system for him. I think they understand how to utilize and showcase the running back. I would anticipate him being someone that's 12 to 1,400 yards for the Raiders because he is dynamic. He is explosive. He can catch the ball out the backfield. And with him and Brock Bowers, I think Clint Kubiak is going to be able to recreate some of the things that he saw when he was an assistant with the San Francisco 49ers, with Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle kind of being the two anchors. I think they can replicate some of that stuff with the Raiders with Bowers and Genty.
Going back to the combine, is there a player that really needs to either run a great 40, throw the ball exceptionally well? So is there a player coming into the combine that has some pressure on him and can really help himself at the combine?
I think Ruben Bain is a player that is kind of in the crosshairs in terms of how he performs and how people feel about him at the combine will determine if he is a top 5 pick or not. Ruben Bain is a pass rusher from Miami. He isn't the traditional size that people look at, maybe 6'3", 275. And so he doesn't necessarily have the length that people look for on the edges. But when you watch him play, Jason, nonstop motor, plays hard, can really overwhelm people with power. When I look at him, he reminds me a lot of how Dante Fowler plays at his best. And so people have to determine, is he the lead pass rusher or is he the complement? Basically, is he Batman or is he Robin? Does he need to play with the dominant guy or can he be the guy that is the dominant guy and someone needs to play with him? How he measures out will determine whether people really believe that he can be an elite pass rusher at the next level.
Hold on. You're saying at 6'3", there's questions about his length.
Yeah, because they say
Short
that he
arms,
may have short arms. And so when we get into the weeds, particularly in this process, people tend to ignore what their eyes show them on tape and they worry about the empirical data. Well, you know, the league traditionally says that you have to have 33 or 34-inch arms to be an effective pass rusher. What is he going to do when he has to deal with these long-armed offensive tackles and they get their hands in them? Whether that's true or not, that is going to be the conversation when he steps on the scale, when he steps on the main stage and they view him. They're going to look at his size and his features, and they're going to weigh that against what they saw on tape and also what he shows on the turf when he works out.
Here would the analogy I would make, and I would think you're familiar, very familiar. Obviously, you'll know who I'm talking about, but you might be very familiar because you played with the Chiefs. But I think of Tamba Hali when I think of Ruben Bain.
Good one.
And so the only questions I would have about Ruben Bain is like, does this film show that he's an absolute dog and doesn't take plays off? Because that's what Herm Edwards loved about Tamba Hali. And then when I watched Tamba Hali's professional career, it was really strong because you never had to worry. That guy was going to show up every Sunday. He was going to show up Monday through Saturday. Anyway, Tamba Hali would be my comp. And, you know, Tamba's not a Hall of Famer, but he was a hell of an NFL player.
That is a good one, and that is one that I'll write down. When I'm looking at my notes on Bain, it is power player. He has to show it, and there was a lot of questions about his production. This is prior to the playoffs. He had 7.5 sacks. He had 3.5 sacks. He had 4.5 sacks. Normally, when we talk about sack production translating to the league, if you see it in college, you'll see it in the pros. It's rare that someone who doesn't have great numbers in college produces great numbers in the pros. That said, when you had a chance to watch him in the college football playoff, which is where I believe his stock probably rose the most, you saw a guy who was relentless, his energy, his effort, his toughness. You felt him. And now that you bring that up, I think Tamba Hali is a great comparison because Tamba Hali was a guy who had a lot of success in the league. And I think if you view him like that, you'll like him. But people like to say, man, I don't want to take someone who's a top 5 player who doesn't give me top 5 splash production. That's the debate that you have to have with Ruben Bain. If you take him in the top 5, is he going to play like a top 5 player?
I'm looking up, Bucky. I want to look up Tamba's college stats. I know he played at Penn State. Here it is. Let me. Oh, he only played. He got 2 years here at Penn State, and he had 11 sacks his senior year in 2005. 17 tackles for loss. Very productive his junior and his junior year stats aren't here, but his senior year, 17 TFLs, 11 sacks, and I remember people. And Tamba, I think, was like 6'2". Anyway, yeah, my questions would be, and again, Miami's a tough team, and I love the way he played against Indiana and during the playoffs. But I got one more question for you. You got a final thought on Ruben Bain before I?
Now, look, I think that is the thing. The one thing that I would say, and what normally is true, and I learned this from Ozzie Newsome because he said this. He was like, sack production translates to the pros. When you look at great pass rushers, typically, if they put it together over 2 or 3 years in college, they're going to do the same thing in the pros. And they use Terrell Suggs as that example. Sizzle didn't run a great 40 time, didn't have all the measurables that you look for, but when he left Arizona State, he had 44.5 sacks and was the all-time leader. And what did he do? He put together a Hall of Fame caliber career with the Baltimore Ravens. So typically you look at that things. That said, there's nothing wrong with having really good players that play hard because there's always a way for those guys to generate numbers off garbage sacks.
Bucky, I don't know if you remember this. When I was coming out of Ball State, I produced a lot of sacks, and so I was really surprised that I didn't get drafted. Now, unfortunately, I was playing offensive line.
Offensive.
I don't know how the scouts missed that, but I produced a lot of sacks. Anyway, finally, Bucky, ESPN came out with their top 100 college players or college quarterbacks. I'm sorry. Of the 21st century, of the 2000s. And the top 5 is interesting and, kind of up for debate. They got Baker Mayfield number 1, Cam Newton number 2, Vince Young 3, Tim Tebow 4, and Joe Burrow. And what I was like, man, how can Tim Tebow not be number 1? And then Cam, to me, had the greatest college season a quarterback has ever had. He carried, hot garbage all the way to an undefeated national championship.
Yeah.
Cam played with nobody. I mean,
nobody. Only one other pro. So in looking at the list, if we just talking about college and not the pros, I think of that list, you would have to put Baker at the bottom of that. If you look at Cam, Vince Young, Tim Tebow, Burrow, they all won national titles. And so to me, that has to be a big part of being a dominant player in college. Baker Mayfield is worthy of being celebrated as a Heisman Trophy winner. But when you think about what Cam Newton did, putting that team with only one other pro, Nick Fairley was the only other pro off that team, putting them on his back, he deserves to be there. Vince Young, what he did, it was one of the greatest upsets of all time at the time when Texas knocked off USC. Because remember, USC was seen as an unstoppable juggernaut. And Texas beat them in the Rose Bowl. Tim Tebow, look, what he was able to do as a dual threat quarterback, all of those things. And Joe Burrow was just special. That 1 year that LSU had with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, all those guys, and they're lighting up scoreboards. I think all of those guys would be worthy of going ahead of Baker Mayfield. But I still could see Baker Mayfield being in the top 5. I just wouldn't put him number 1.
I wonder if everybody loves an underdog. And that'll get you extra bonus points. It's like we've been talking earlier about why Team USA, the hockey deal is such a big deal. Is because they weren't expected to win. It's Canada and the men, the women are favorites, blah, blah, blah. Baker, with his size and being a former walk-on and going to a couple of different – didn't he transfer? Yeah.
Yeah.
The underdog story may have lifted these other guys. You go on the measurables. These other guys, 5-star recruits coming out of high school, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would say this. I would say not only for Baker, but I would say we're watching it in real time with Mendoza. I think there's a bit of the underdog story that has kind of lifted him up. Indiana was a no-name football program. He takes over. He tells the story about wanting to walk on in Miami, and Miami saying, "No, we're good." Goes to Cal, leaves Cal, goes to Indiana, and so there's a bit of this story, this feel-good story, like, oh, look at how he made it. He got it out of the mud. He picked up his bootstraps, and he deserves to be celebrated, and rightfully so. They're the champs. But I do believe some of the conversation over Mendoza falls in line with the underdog story that we all tend to fall in love with, as opposed to being able to separate the story from who the player really, really is as we're beginning to project them into pros.
Bucky, enjoy Indianapolis. Go to St. Elmo's and take a couple guys. Send me the bill. I'm saying that in all seriousness. I'm saying that in all seriousness.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not joking.
I'll wait for that Venmo. To come.
You got PayPal? you got PayPal? Is it PayPal?
I do. Yeah.
No. Cash App. Cash App.
Cash App. That's what we do.
You got Cash App?
Yeah. Who does it? Everybody.
I got you, man. Text me your Cash App. I want you to go to St. Elmo's and enjoy yourself.
Okay, I got you.
As a thank you, I want you to do. I'm being dead serious.
I know you are. I know you are.
Text me your Cash App when you hang up here. Thank you, Bucky. We'll see you next time.
I appreciate you. Later.
Yep. You ever been to any of you guys ever been to St. Elmo's? You know anything about St. Elmo's? It's great.
We don't know what St. Elmo's is. That's probably good. No?
Yeah. It's an awesome steakhouse in Indianapolis. I don't know if I'll call it the best that I've had, but their shrimp cocktail is world famous, and it's where everybody goes. And that's why, because one, it's hard to get into St. Elmo's, and that may be why Bucky's laughing, because he's like, man, I probably can't even get a reservation at this point. But Bucky, I'm dead serious. You and a couple guys go to St. Elmo's on me. Anyway, let me get to, I got to take care of the live read here with the State of the Union address tonight. Tonight marks the first State of the Union address for the 47th president. That's Donald J. Trump, who was also 45. While many will react to the speech, Blaze Media will be focused on the questions that matter most. Are we still one nation under God? Are we strengthening families, preserving liberty, and living with moral responsibility? Your favorite Blaze TV host will lead live commentary throughout the night, tackling the issues shaping the nation today, the housing crisis, immigration, the proper limits of government, and whether America is still living up to the principles that made it strong in the first place. Blaze TV host Ali Beth Stuckey and Steve Deace will help answer the question, is this still one nation under God? The full pre-show starts live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Blaze TV and the Blaze TV YouTube channel. Blaze TV subscribers can submit questions live during the post-show and get deeper analysis. If you haven't signed up yet, today is the perfect time to join. Join today and save $40 with the promo code SOTU40. SOTU40. Go to fearlessmission.com to get your backstage pass. When we come back, Dre Baldwin and Jay Skapinac will talk a little college basketball. We'll talk a little Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. Next. I read the book almost 3 years ago, Straight Shooter Memoir, and I came out 2.5 years ago and said, hey man, this is like the Obama book. This guy's putting himself in position to run for president. There's a pattern here. There's a reason why Bob Iger has stepped down, because that's who's Stephen A's puppet master. And so he's stepping aside. They got a new CEO at Disney so that he can help Stephen A. Smith and continue to be his puppet master, his controller, handler for Stephen A. Smith. And there's a reason why Shannon Sharp has been instructed to say, hey, I want to come back to ESPN if they'll have me. What that really means is ESPN's already reached out to me. They know that Stephen A is about to go into politics, and we need you back here to do First Take while Stephen A. runs for president. And so all of next year, Stephen A., or this year, Stephen A., and at some point this year, he'll reconnect with Shannon Sharpe. And then come 2027, Stephen A. will move off of First Take, focus full in on his campaign run. All right, welcome back. Let's take a listen to what Jay Billis had to say about Darryn Peterson before last night's game. Number 5 Houston visited, I believe, number 14 Kansas at Fall Gallon last night. Jay Billis had some things to say about Darryn Peterson going into that game.
If Darryn Peterson were really getting advice from people about shutting it down would be the easy way to go, and the NBA would take him number 1. Trying to play is what's causing, these speculative issues about his character and all that other stuff. I don't find it fair. But, if we had solid information that said so, then I'm good with it. But I think it's been a little bit unfair. And the kid doesn't talk. Like, he may do a little press event or something like that, but he really doesn't talk much. And, look, if he were listening to me, I'd said the more you talk, the more people will know you. And he never had this problem in high school. Nobody ever questioned his competitiveness. But, man, when that dude plays, there is not much question. There are not many like him. He is the real deal.
All right, and so last night, Kansas upsets, blows out, really plays well, particularly in the second half. Really, the end of the first half and all throughout the second half plays well. Handles Houston pretty handily. Peterson played 30 minutes last night, I believe 5 of 14 from the field. Had a solid game. Not great, but a solid game, but certainly played. Here's Darryn Peterson after the game, this was after the game, about dealing with outside noise.
What was that the last 5-6 days been like for you personally?
Kind of normal this year. Somebody's had something to say probably after every game this year, so I don't really pay attention to it anymore.
How do you go about keeping your own little bubble?
I don't know. I've kind of been a antisocial loner my whole life, so I kind of just deal with it on my own.
Antisocial loner. I don't want red flag, green flag, yellow flag. I kind of get it. But Darryn Peterson last night, before we Skap and Dre in, I think what impacted Darryn Peterson last night is there were about 25 former Kansas basketball players, great Kansas basketball players during the whole Bill Self era. The Morris twins were there. Keith Langford was there. Sharon Collins. I'm not sure if Mario Chalmers, but there was a boatload of former college. Nick Collison, who didn't even play for Bill Self, was actually there in the arena. And I would imagine they had a conversation with the Kansas players, the team, and with Darryn Peterson overall. And I think that's probably why Kansas played so well. People reminded them, I think in this NIL era, tradition doesn't matter nearly as much. And I think Bill Self was like, hey, let me bring in these great players that have been with me here for 15, dang near 20 years at Kansas and put a little pressure on this team and on Darryn Peterson. And it worked. And it's one of the reasons why I think Kansas is a great sleeper pick to win the national championship. Jay Skapinac, Dre Baldwin, welcome back to the show. What do we make here of Darryn Peterson's performance last night? Skap, I'll let you fire first.
I mean, I watched this game, honestly. I don't watch much regular season college basketball anymore. I watch a pretty healthy amount of the NCAA tournament, not as much, truth be told, as I had in recent years. But amid our conversation yesterday, I wanted to check in and see, maybe I'm not understanding exactly what the product is. Like, maybe I haven't seen enough of this kid's tape to be able to offer a fair critique of him. So I wanted to watch the game last night. And again, I come away from that game scratching my head that this kid is some kind of consensus #1 overall pick. He's some can't miss talent. Like, you said he played a decent game. I mean, he was 5 of 14 from the field and 2 of 7 from the 3-point line for 14 points. Just a volume scoring night, 14 attempts, 14 points. He does little else. He had 1 assist. He's averaging 0.7 of an assist on the season right now. Or I should say his last 6 games. I looked at his last 6 games, Jason, actually, because he's been playing a decent amount the last 6 games. Like, he played 30 minutes last night. In the last 6 games that he's played now, he's actually averaging around 30 minutes a game. He's gone over 30 minutes in 4 of the last 6, and yet he seems to be kind of trailing off in these games. 16 points per game on only 40% shooting from the field in the last 6 games now, where he's averaging 30 points or 30 minutes a night. And again, 0.7 of an assist, 2.5 rebounds, like 1 steal, 2 turnovers a game. Like nothing. He doesn't do that much other than he's like just an athletic guy. He's got decent size for the next level. I think he's 6'6", 205. The comp I would draw to him right now, and I just think they align so perfectly right down to where they played their college ball, is Andrew Wiggins. I think this kid is going to be at the next level a very similar player to Wiggins. And that's not to take, look, Wiggins has been a good pro. He's played in them. He has had a long NBA career. He helped the Golden State Warriors win Steph Curry's 4th NBA championship. He was an all-star that season, actually, when the Warriors won that chip with him. So, look, that's not necessarily being overly critical of this kid, but it's also not like, oh, he's a slam dunk, can't miss #1 overall pick, when you have a kid with the pedigree of Boozer's son in Cam Boozer that's averaging like 23 and 12 right now for the #1 overall ranked school in the United States of America at Duke. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm seeing. Like, Jay Billis, that was a very passionate defense that he just offered for Peterson. So I guess I'm not seeing the same thing that these scouts and stuff are seeing at this point.
Andrew Wiggins comparison's not bad. The thing that I think and thought, particularly last night, is like, he's really not a ball dominant player. I mean, he kind of stood around a little when he didn't have the ball in his hand, and so anyway, Dre's got a little bit more playing experience than you or I, although I would suspect I'm a better shooter than Dre. But Dre played, overseas. Why is Dre laughing at that? Dre played. I'm from Indiana, Dre. I hope my jumper's pretty wet. But anyway, Dre played overseas for more than a dozen years. Played college basketball. Dre, what'd you think of Darryn Peterson last night in Kansas' performance?
Well, college stats, as Skap pointed out, can be kind of noisy because the college game and the NBA game, they don't always translate directly. I mean, there was a guy named Tyler Hansbrough who dominated in college. He got to the NBA and didn't play much. And there are other players in college, again, they don't put up incredible stats, but they get to the league and their game translates depending on how they play. So if Darryn Peterson does become Andrew Wiggins, and I've heard others make that comparison, that would actually be a winning choice by a general manager, because for a lottery pick, you're looking for someone to have a 10-year career, be a starter, and have just a solid career. You know they're going to play. They show up every game, and they may not become a superstar, maybe not even a perennial all-star, but they have a career. That would actually be good. Although at draft time, of course, we're looking at the #1 pick, especially a consensus top 3 guy, and you're expecting all-star, carry the team, be a culture setter who you can build your franchise around. Those don't always come around every draft. Sometimes you get a solid player. Andrew Wiggins is a solid player who had a good, respectable NBA career. He didn't become the superstar that he looked like on those Ball Was Life mixtapes back when he was in high school, if you remember those. But if that's what Darryn Peterson becomes, that would not be bad, but probably not as exciting as it seems right now.
I mean, when I look, I heard a lot about Cooper Flagg last year. And again, just with Darryn Peterson, I didn't watch a lot. I did not really tune in to see Duke play in their first game last year till the ACC tournament, in that like the week leading into the NCAA tournament. And then I watched all of Duke's games in the NCAA tournament, and it was undeniable. I've been hearing all this stuff about Flagg and reading secondhand accounts and so forth. But when I started actually seeing him play basketball, It was undeniable. This kid is a cannot miss. Like, I understood implicitly why he was going to be the #1 overall pick. And I thought going into the draft, I said before he played his first pro game that I thought he was going to average 25-5 as a rookie in the NBA. Those are rare numbers. They're like LeBron James, Luka Doncic like numbers. And right now he's averaging like 27-4 right now. And he's shooting like 49%. So like I'm not surprised by anything that he's doing now. And I thought that he validated those picks and that lofty kind of expectations that he had surrounding him when I was watching him play at the collegiate level. Look, just agree to disagree. Like, I'm not seeing it. Like, I'm not seeing that can't miss pedigree coming when I watch this kid play. And this is, if the draft wasn't that good, or if it wasn't expected to be that deep or have that many that much talent at the top end of it, I would be like, yeah, sure, Andrew Wiggins. I would take an Andrew Wiggins type player if I had the #1 overall pick. But the simple matter of the fact is, this is suspected to be a very deep draft and a very top-heavy elite draft. So I would be concerned, and quite frankly, I would be afraid of taking this kid at this point.
Let me hold for 1 second, Dre. I want to be a little bit more aggressive than Skap. Don't forget your thought, because I'm going to give you a new one here. But just remember, Skap, I want to remind you who we're talking to. Dre yesterday said he would take Darryn Peterson #1 overall. Today, he called him a lottery pick and compared him to Andrew Wiggins and said he would be satisfied. So we're talking about a #1 overall pick in a very deep draft, and Dre's going to be satisfied with Andrew Wiggins and a lottery pick. Dre also played football and was Deion Sanders like backpedal we just saw here. But anyway, go ahead, Dre.
Yeah, that's a little gotcha there. You got me. So yesterday you boxed me in with the question, would I take him? I said yes. There's a little gotcha there. So with Andrew Wiggins, it would be a good move, as I said, for the GM. You get a solid career. With Darryn Peterson, the reason why he's looked at as a #1 pick is obviously the guy's a great offensive talent. He has proven himself to be the real deal. He's already proven that he is worthy of a lottery pick, top 3 choice. Who are you comparing him to? Who else is a can't miss player? Cooper Flagg, yes, he did look can't miss. And also because when you watched him in college, Scat, his performance jumped off the page because Cooper Flagg's game worked well in a college system and it works well in a pro system. There are some players for whom both are true. There are some players for whom only one is true. They look great in college, not so great in the pros. Or they look okay in college, and then they look amazing in the pros. Not every player is both true. So for Peterson, he's looked very good in college, not amazing. But at the pro level, he may look amazing depending on the system, the structure, the organization he's in, how much freedom he has. And being that he is pretty much an offensive player, I didn't watch the whole game, but I've seen some of it. You're right. He doesn't do much anything else. He doesn't play a lot of defense. He's generally indifferent when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, offensively and defensively. But he's still ranked as the #1 guy for the draft. So what does that tell us about the state of the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to push back much there because you're right. I mean the simple matter is here in the NBA, like it's actually easier to score at the NBA level than it is at the college level at this point. I mean, Luka Doncic has been saying for years that the NBA is easy, like compared to where he came from and playing Euroball and like how much harder it is to score in that league than it is the NBA. So, I mean, there is something to what you're saying. And he is primarily, right now, he is just pretty much a scorer and that's all he does. But he does operate well without the ball in his hand. He can score away from. So, I mean, yeah, maybe. But look, the point is, it is going to depend where he goes, what the system is, like what they build around him. I don't think he's necessarily like a plug and play, can't miss type prospect, which is why, again, when we're talking #1 overall pick, especially in a draft that is supposed to be an elite, one of the elite drafts we've seen in recent years, like I just don't know that guy is the guy that deserves to be the consensus unanimous #1 overall pick.
Well, then look at it this way. The 1984 draft was elite. You had the Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon. They became Hall of Famers. 96, you got Kobe, you got Iverson, you have Ray Allen, Stephon Marbury, guys in that draft. A great draft, deep draft, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a bunch of legends. It might mean you get 10 guys who have 10-year careers and make an all-star game or two. That is still a good draft. You get players who have a career. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be superstars. And when it comes to Peterson and his ability to score, with the way the NBA is now, if you can put up 20, 25 points per game in the right system, You get $300 million, $200 million on a bad day. He looks more to me, if I was to compare him to someone, I'm thinking Jerry Stackhouse. They got him off the Sixers, away from Iverson, put him on the Pistons with Doug Collins coaching, built the whole offense around him. He led the league in scoring. He had a long career, and he reinvented himself later, and he could be that same type of player. That would be a good career. Jerry Stackhouse was number 3 pick.
How many All-Star games did Jerry Stackhouse make? How many
I believe he made
All-NBAs?
2. I believe he made 1 or 2.
So I believe you're right. I had 2 in my mind as well. So I mean, would you be okay? So you'd be okay drafting this kid number 1 overall in this draft and saying, yeah, I'm taking a kid who's going to play maybe 13, 14 years and make 2 All-Star appearances. That would be a success, you think, for a GM?
At a number 1 pick, Scap, I would be hoping for more. But if that's what he ends up being, looking at it on an accounting basis, yes, that is a good pick.
I don't see Jerry Stackhouse, and because I loved Jerry Stackhouse in college and thought he would be a tremendous NBA player, and it's tough for me to say. Jerry Stackhouse hates me for some odd, because he's a leftist and I'm not. But Jerry Stackhouse, I loved him as a college player and as an NBA player. I don't right now. I got to take other people's words that he has this tremendous talent and ability, and they do show him like points per minute or whatever. If he played the full 40 minutes or whatever, he's at the top of college basketball. So I do think he's some sort of elite scorer. But the thing, when he says, I'm a loner and, kind of a weirdo, I just don't know if he's got the personality type that is going to make him that kind of he's sitting back as an 18, 19-year-old, letting other guys be the leader of this team when he's got the most talent, and he's not super. I just don't know if that changes if there's some switch. It's like Jerry Stackhouse was a jerk even in college. There's just some dog, and Michael Jordan, a jerk. There's just some Kobe, obviously a jerk. Not that this guy, but they all got a personality trait that this kid doesn't like talking to the media. When he does talk, he's kind of soft-spoken. He told us he's a bit of a loner. Some red flags there for me. Guys, don't want to spend a lot of time with this, but I do want to talk a little bit about follow-up on Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather is unretiring. So is Manny Pacquiao. Floyd is 49. Pacquiao is 47. They're going September 19th. That's just around the corner, really. I mean, that's 6-7 months away. They're coming out of retirement on a cash grab financed by Netflix. This is what Netflix and the streaming services and this need for content and what Jake Paul has done to professional sports, that everything's a gimmick. This will be like the Pro Bowl flag football game, but it's going to work. They're going to make a bunch of, obviously, Netflix is going to pay them a lot of money, and they'll do a lot of streams, and I guess people will watch. But part of this, to me, is humorous, and part of it is sad. What's the overriding, if you had to only choose one? Is this sad that they're this broke and at Floyd at nearly 50 is about to unretire? Or is this more humorous? Dre, your thoughts?
I would say those numbers 49 and 47 are more about the paychecks that each of those guys are going to get. And this is not sad at all. I say this is business, and that's what it is. If someone offered you $49 or $47 million, Jason, to go play a season of football, would you take it? I would.
I was giving ages. I don't know what money. When I say
I'm talking
Floyd
about the millions.
40, oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm saying the millions.
Yeah. I think Floyd Mayweather's made $1 billion boxing, and he still needs to box. He still needs to get in the ring and risk injury. This is a little bit sad, no?
I don't know if he needs it, Jason. If somebody offered you $50 million for what is essentially an hour of work, would you consider it? Would you have a meeting about that? I would have a meeting about that.
Well, he's not having a meeting. He signed the deal. It's happening September 19th.
Exactly. He spent his whole life boxing, so he can box, obviously. You wouldn't think about that? $49, $50 million? Yes.
There are some things you give up You know, it's like, look, I can still go to strip clubs. I gave it up. I mean, it just, at my age, it's not the right look. Not that it was the right look at 40, but, you know, some
Right,
things
that's a
you just
neutral
give
decision.
up and
As a neutral decision. But if someone's offering you a ton of money to do something that you don't really want to do anymore, but you could do it, would you think about taking the money? I think that's a reasonable question for anybody.
Anybody
And
would
Floyd
think
doing
about
something
it.
he's great at, they're going to pay, and he might win. He beat Manny 10 years ago. Why can't he beat him again? What's the difference? I would take the money.
Look, man, I was one of the best at making it rain, and I could probably still do it. I've just outgrown it. Scap.
Look, this is not only sad, it's tragic. I would go beyond sad to all the way. This is a cautionary tale. This is how to mismanage money to like some kind of an epic degree. I mean, look, Dre, you're asking the wrong question. If you're asking me, would I go fight anybody on earth for an hour for $50 million? Me personally, at my age right now, look, I'm younger than him, but I'm well beyond the age of my like peak athleticism. The answer is unequivocally yes, I would do it. But I haven't made $1.1 to $1.52 billion in my career already. Had I, the answer would be unequivocally no, I wouldn't do it because it's humiliating. He's gonna look bad. He's gonna look slow. He's gonna look weak. He's gonna tarnish like the memories that we have and that we've seen. I am not a fan of him by any stretch of the imagination, but I watched practically every fight that guy fought in the last 10 years of his career, just hoping to see him lose. But he never did because he is one of, if not the greatest defensive fighters of all time. And now this fight at 50, it proves it means nothing. What am I going to do? Watch it now and say, oh, he looks bad. He's getting beat up. Who cares? He's 50 years old. If this wasn't on Netflix, which it is, and it's free, and I already have Netflix, so it's free to me, obviously. So I likely will watch this car accident. Like, it's basically going to be me driving by and rubbernecking a car accident. It's not going to be, like, really enjoyable in any way to me. I'm just going to watch it just because it's on my TV for free. I would not pay a single cent to watch this fight. Not one penny. So look, I don't know what Netflix is getting out of this. I don't understand their business model. Obviously, they're making money on it. They're not going to throw 100 mil at these dudes each, maybe. I haven't heard the actual numbers yet, but they're clearly somehow making money. I don't know how that is because it's free to all the viewers. I don't get it. I don't get why they're doing it. I don't care why. I don't get why Netflix is paying them to do it. I don't understand why anybody wants to watch this. It's sad.
Bad, slow, and weak are relative. So next to Manny, he won't look like any of those because he was better than him the first time.
You know who's going to enjoy this? You know what this is for? This is for only Floyds. That's what we'll call Floyd sexuals. Only Floyds. only people with some kind of Floyd Mayweather derangement syndrome, either love or hate. One way or either you love him or you hate him, and that only Floyd in you will make you watch this. That's my nickname for this fight, Only Floyds. So anyway, gentlemen, thank you so much. Appreciate you always. I gotta keep it moving. I want to give these guys a chance the Peanut Gallery to review our work and the show. Luke, Justin, Peyton. Luke, we'll start with you. What was the highlight of today's show?
Okay, so I want to go back to the start of the show. Play this clip of everybody talking to Trump. Why are we Americans winning a sport in hockey that's played on the ice, drinking a Mexican beer that's associated with the beach? What's up with that?
Everybody loves Corona.
Yeah, I love a Corona.
What?
I hear you, but like
if people
in this
like
scenario,
beer,
in this scenario,
you think they should drink
you're
vodka or
America.
something?
You just won a sport.
Bud Light, they should be drinking.
Hell
what?
no, my dad sells Coors for a living. Hell no,
Coors. I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, a beach beer after winning in hockey.
Is Corona considered a beach beer?
Yeah,
Oh, it is. I just thought it was a beer.
I don't know about that. I drink Corona everywhere.
Like find your beach or something like that.
Hold on, Justin. Your thoughts on Luke's take and your take on best part of today's show?
No, I think they drink Corona everywhere. At least
In Texas, they do.
Yeah, there you go.
I like a Dos Equis myself. What can I say? But anyway, I don't know if you caught Luke saying earlier though, when you mentioned St. Elmo's, I think he might have thought that was a strip club.
You hold on. Did Luke? He said you thought St. Elmo's was a strip club?
Yeah.
No, St. Elmo's is a
Well, I'm
steak
glad
restaurant.
it's not. I'm glad it's not, though. I'm glad
St.
it's not, though.
Elmo's, the name of a strip club. You must not have much strip club experience. You know,
No.
King of Diamonds, Tootsies. These are Spearmint Rhino.
Spearmint Rhino.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Why can't I
Come
think?
on, Luke.
What Magic City? There you go. I'm thinking of great cheetahs.
You can't have saint in a.
Huh?
You can't have the word saint in a strip club name.
No. All right, Peyton, your thoughts on today's show?
Well, I think Tamba Hali at some point is going to become a friend of the show because it's the second time you mentioned him.
It is?
Which is kind of interesting.
This week?
Well, inside the last 7 days. Yeah.
I've mentioned Tamba Hali twice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out for sure. And then I think, honestly, something, and I thought that conversation with Bucky was very interesting. And then the thing that stood out to me, like when y'all were talking about Darryn Peterson and how, is it Jerry Stackhouse? Is it, what's his comp?
Andrew Wiggins.
I think Zach LaVine makes some sense because there's a pure scorer that gets paid a ton of money and you can't win with him and he doesn't have a great mentality. So it's like Darryn Peterson's going to be able to score wherever he goes. But
isn't Zach LaVine known as like a great dunker, though?
Yeah.
High flyer.
Yeah. So Darryn Peterson has more natural skill than him. But I think in terms of being a 3-level scorer and a guy that's gotten paid a ton of money, Darryn Peterson, like Dre said, could score 25 in a system, get paid $300 million, and have a great NBA career. But is that really who you want at the top of this draft in particular?
No, I want someone that I think's a dog is going to help me win a championship.
And there's where Cam Boozer and AJ DeBon still would fit.
Yeah. Not sure if it's Darryn Peterson. All right. Thank you, guys. And I hope St. Elmo's appreciates the plug. Anyway, I'll be on the Harmony channel in 5 minutes with Shamika Michelle and Virgil Walker. We'll be discussing Candace Owens' documentary that will debut tomorrow, I think, on her YouTube channel about Erica Kirk. That's caused a lot of controversy in the conservative media space. We'll talk about it on the Harmony channel in 5 minutes. I'll see you over there. I'll see you back here tomorrow.